Once a property has been loaded into our system initially, we then need to go through and fill out all of the needed information for that home. Um, when you go and you search under configuration and then vacation rentals, it will bring up a list of all of our properties. And if you put in a name, you can basically find the exact property you're looking for. And then when you click on the edit that property button, which is right here, it will pull up the home with all the various tabs. Now, in order to start entering the information, this property is done. It has all of the information you could ever want in here about this property, Sali'i Zen Haven. And we'll use it as an example to show what you need to have filled out. All of the information that you need to do this should already be there from through the parameters that you've collected. So I'm going to actually open this up in a full tab here. If you have a Mac, you can just hold down Command and click it, or you can press Control and open it in a new tab. So here's the property. And we're just going to go through the house details tab. This is the main tab for a property. It's the main one that's used. And so we'll go over that right now. So it has some information that already kind of comes with it. Guest required security deposit is 0. We don't do security deposits like this in the system. You have the group. A lot of this stuff will already be set up. Pricing group, you can just leave that blank. The floor level, again, you could probably just leave that blank. Max occupancy and standard occupancy. This home, if you go over 8 guests, it has some additional things, so that's why it's set at 8 is the standard occupancy, with the max being 14. 5 beds, 5 baths. Square footage usually can be found on the owner's website. If you can't, you can estimate about 750 square feet per bedroom. You can just kind of estimate that and put that number in. You have the different views, the home's name, unit ID, property URL. A lot of that stuff we can leave blank right now because we actually already have it in another location. Those are new fields they just recently added in. The location, obviously a lot of this stuff will already be in there from before. Local phone numbers, a lot of this stuff you're just going to be putting, if you don't know it, you're going to say, well, how can they find that out? Well, they can ask the caretaker. Wi-Fi secret key, they can ask the caretaker. Lockbox code, they can ask the caretaker. Lockbox directions, this is, just leave this one blank in general unless we actually have a lockbox on the house and we need specific instructions on how to get to that lockbox. Like it's on the right side of the house underneath the gas valve or something like that. Now on this, you are going to choose a file. You're going to choose the best image file and upload it into the image. You are going to define the seasons, or you're not going to touch the seasons. You just leave these alone. You don't need to do anything with those, and that's the left side. The right side has the address. That's all pretty standard. Renting type, you set this as non-renting. You are not allowed to change the renting type. Only management is allowed to do that. Okay, so the renting type sets it as if it's a gray property on the tape chart. If it's a red property on the tape chart, it's all that stuff. So don't touch that. That's handled by management. Virtual tours, if there are any, you can embed the URL in here and then it will actually show it. If there is none, you can just put no virtual tour for this home. Housekeeper, you can leave blank. You don't need to do anything with that. Coupons, any of these things, you can leave them blank if you don't need to set anything with those. That can be done later. Short term, we use daily pricing. We don't use weekly pricing. We only use daily pricing. All of this stuff you don't need to worry about. Also, you got to make sure that up here, this advanced settings button, you'll notice now that a lot of this stuff isn't there. A lot of these things that you're seeing are the advanced settings. You are going to want to make sure that advanced settings are open though, just so you can see everything that may be needed. So long-term rental settings, short-term rental settings, don't worry about any of those. Tape chart color, you do not touch that. That is something that's handled by management on the tape chart. The daily pricing starting from, this is our retail rate, our lowest retail rate. So like, during September, whatever the rate is, that's generally the lowest time of year, and so that is the rate that we set in here for the daily prices starting from. You use the rate that we use in October, which is generally your lowest rate of the year. Additional variables. So there's a lot of stuff here. that you just leave alone. You don't need to touch it. The only things you do need to know in this section are right here, these two. This is how we set up our calendar sync. Now this calendar, we actually manage it. We have the master calendar. What we put in, the owner will let us know if anything needs to be put on. But on a lot of other ones, we actually use the owner's calendar as the master calendar on their VRBO site. So if they have a VRBO site, that VRBO ad will have a VRBO number associated with it, and you just put in the VRBO number. Every VRBO property is vrbo.com/ and then there's some number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever this, you just put that number in here, and then it will sync the calendar for that property with that VRBO ad. Now, if we get an iCal link, the iCal link can be put in this. That's all kind of technical stuff. I can deal with a lot of that, but iCal links are another way that we can sync properties. Airbnb, Logix, a lot of different calendar systems have a iCal feed, which is basically like a way for their calendar to send its data to our calendar system. And that can be put in here. Neither of these have to be put in, but if you want to have a live calendar, generally what we do is we use the VRBO number from the owner if they have a live calendar on their VRBO site. The owner's website you can put in there. There's none for this one. Down payment required. This gets shown to the guest, so you need to make sure you word it properly. 25% of the grand total, usually it's some percentage of the grand total. The cancellation policy, word for word, needs to go in here because what's in this field will get plugged into the contract when we make a reservation. The review link, when you upload these, there's not going to be any review link. You won't have one, so you can leave that blank. That's something that will be put in by the marketing department. Special payment terms. Okay, so I'm sorry, I actually made a mistake on the review link. You do need to put in the review link. This review link it's a generic review link that we use. Ask management for that generic review link and it will be provided to you. It basically takes them to a little form where they can fill out a review until we get an ad up. Then once we have the ad up, then the ad's review link will go in there. Special payment terms, you can leave that blank, don't worry about it. Additional contract terms. If the owner has a contract, like this owner has a contract that he has a bunch of additional terms that aren't found in our contract. If the owner lets you know that he wants you to use their contract, contact management and we can show you how to get in the additional contract terms into that particular unit. Okay. Then we have the link for the guest. So this is the property URL on our website. So it's lavishgetaways.com/whatever you want to make it. Usually it's just the property name, but you can modify that accordingly, and I'll show you how to do that. Check-in instructions. This is their check-in instructions. This is how do you get in the house. Normally what you do is it will just say, please contact the caretaker 2 weeks prior to arrival to coordinate your check-in. In other words, we say, contact the caretaker. They'll be the one to give you the check-in. And then we give the caretaker's contact information. Also, every property should have some point of contact for the guest to call, and that information will go here. Generally, it's the caretaker. Okay, it's the person who will be in touch with that person. A lot of times the owner and the caretaker are the same person. Ellen is actually the owner of the property, but she's also the caretaker. She's the one who takes care of the guests while they're in the house if they need anything. If they can't do something, they're going to call her, not you. Okay? So that is the house details tab. It's the most robust one. It's the one that has the most stuff in it. So that is the information that you need to input into there. And then when you're done, you just click complete house details modification, and that saves all of the stuff that you have entered onto that page for that particular unit. Okay, we're going to go through these other tabs. I know it seems like there's a lot. This goes really fast. Most of these we don't use.